Welcome to the Reasons to Reason podcast. I'm your host and captain, Sal Galati. This is the show that's going to talk about all the things we're not supposed to: God, religion, and politics. So strap in, prepare to get offended, and maybe, just maybe, our nation can learn how to reason again. Thanks for joining me today. We have a guest in that I'm real excited to talk to and learn about. I know him somewhat, but this is going to be like, for me, I'm going to hear some stories that I've never heard before. Extremely sweet, interesting person I've met at our church. He's a youth pastor. One time, he was just talking nonchalantly and talking about an experience he had. My son's into crocodiles and alligators and all those kind of animals. And he said how when he was a kid, he saw or he knew people that were eaten by crocodiles. And it paused me for a moment to think, like, what a vast world we live in, what a diverse amount of experiences people have. And I think his experience would be so interesting for everyone to hear about. We're going to talk about how he came to faith, his job as a youth pastor now, and how he got from Ethiopia to the United States. So I want to introduce you to my friend Sami.
Yeah, like you said, my name is Sami and I'm from Ethiopia. Adopted when I was 11. Totally changed my life, Like you said, Ethiopia, I had a lot of different experiences. Some things, people may, believe or may not believe, but it was an interesting time.
Well, I know you to not be a liar, so I'm going to believe every story you tell me. Obviously, you had there's a story where you were adopted, brought to the United States. It's an open canvas for you to paint on, Sami.
The first memory that I have is with my dad, and we would play soccer. And one of the strongest memories I've had is waking up in bed one time and waking him up to go outside and play soccer. And my mom came in the room and she screamed, and that scream stuck with me. And it turned out that my dad died, and I was in bed next to him. And so I would ask my mom, like, when would dad be here? When are we going to play soccer? Because I didn't understand death. And she would tell me, like, he's gone. One day you'll see him. I never understood what that meant, but just kind of put it in the back of my mind. And I kept living life, but I knew, like, my dad was not there, right? But things went on, and my mom, she needed to find a job, and so she was always out. She was never home. And so it was just me, and I was so neglected, right? And I didn't have food. I didn't have money, resources. And so to get by, I would have to steal money, and I would have to steal food from people. I don't know if you've ever seen pictures of kids when they're hungry and they don't have the nutrition, their stomach gets big, right? And so that was me, and I would get made fun of. People would say, you eat so much that you're going to have baby in your stomach. And I would always be conscious about it, but I was always hungry. But yeah, it was tough and hard. And my mom met a guy, and they had a kid. And so this guy, she brought home, he had issues. He would get drunk, come home, beat my mom, and I would try to defend. And next thing you know, I'm flying across the room, getting beat. And he would, get the money, but he would always spend it on alcohol. And my mom would always go try to find jobs, whatever she needs to do. But this kid came. I had to raise him because she was at the job. He's out doing I don't know what. And so I raised the kid when I was about 4. I taught him how to walk. There was a time where he was crying. I remember specifically, it was just me alone. I didn't know what to do. And in that moment, something inside me said, just put your hand in his mouth. Right? He was crying. And so the 4-year-old me, so I put my hand in his mouth, and he started sucking on like a pacifier, and he fell asleep. And I knew that idea didn't come from me. Like, I knew, like, I didn't know what to do with this kid. And as time going on, I had to, like I said, raise this kid, but steal food so that he could eat. I would be lucky if I had anything, but I knew I had to make this kid survive, and because he was the only thing in my life that I cared about, right? And yes, from there he grew up, and his dad was still abusive. As he grew up, so there was times my mom would take my brother, and it's just me alone. And in those times is where I would get in fights. Where I live, we have hyenas. And so one morning, I remember we just left the house, walking around outside, and it's early in the morning, and I see a hyena by itself. And so I chase it, and I call my friends. They come outside, and we chase this hyena through our neighborhood and we kill it. And so it's a very day-to-day life was different, wake up, there are times where war will break out. We're between two different regions, and the police and these people, these Oromos, what they called, and in that fight, there would be guns pulled out, shots. There were a couple of times where bullets barely miss me, and I can hear them whizzing by. And so it was a tough situation to be in. But now growing up, now what I am, I see God in that and how He protected me in every single moment that I thought I was alone. And what was really cool is that the Lord put these Christian people in front of my mom's house. And it's not like a nice house, it's just wood and mud all around it. And these people, they were really kind. But at the same time, there was something about me, I didn't like them. I don't know why, but they always fed me. She always took care of me, gave me water, and they actually had a store next to their house, and I would rob their stores, even though they were so kind to me. And I used to throw rocks at them as they're worshiping, because I saw people do it, and I did it. And one time, this family took me to church, and I saw as they're worshiping the joy they had. And at this time, I'm maybe 5 or 6. The joy they had, they're jumping, they're dancing, and something in me changed, and I wanted that. And when I was little, always growing up, we're Orthodox family, and I knew about God, and there was something inside of me that was deep that wanted to worship God. And so me and my friends would always talk about God. I would always go to church by myself, to do what I would see people do, worshiping, kissing the walls with the face of Mary and all that stuff. And so God always has been in my mind, in my life, since I was little. And one day, this man came and he's like, they're taking kids to America. And my aunt signed me up. And my mom took me there a couple of days later. There were hundreds of kids. I don't know how the process of choosing went, but I got chosen. There was 3 of us, one other kid that I knew and one girl, and they took us to this orphanage. But before we went to the orphanage, I remember my mom crying the night before, and I'm like, why is she crying? Like, I've never heard her cry about me. I'm like, she should be happy. I'm gonna go to America. When you live in Ethiopia, America is like the biggest thing. That is where you want to be. That's the dream. Like, for me, it was heaven, America, and chocolate, right? Like, those are the things that I wanted really bad. And I remember her crying, and I didn't know why, but we went to the orphanage, and she left. And I didn't like that. Like, I didn't know she was going to leave. And suddenly, from having all this freedom, going wherever I wanted to go, and I had to stay in this wall, house. And it was tough, and I remember crying, feeling suffocated, like caved in. Yeah.
How old were you at this point when you left at the orphanage?
Funny thing, I remember when we were on our way to the orphanage, there was this lady who was helping us with the process, and she told my mom to tell the orphanage that I was 10, but I was 6.
So all this was essentially, they had to make sure they do it the right way so you could make it to America. And it obviously broke your mom's heart, but this was her way of putting you in the best situation, her son she loved, to come to America, right?
Yes. I didn't see it that way, right? You've done this 100 times, and I was furious. I was mad. And this orphanage was a Christian orphanage. And a couple of days, I hear them, the kids themselves, they lead themselves in worship. They talk about the word. I was like, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to do this. And one of the kids, he was the leader. His name was Bereket. And he said, do you want to pray and ask God to come into your life? And I was like, you know what? Sure, why not? Like, you guys are all doing it. I want to do it. And he said, I need you to know that he loves you. I was like, loves me? How can this person that you're talking about, have never met, never seen, can love me? And yet my mom that I've seen that gave me birth, she left me here. There's no one that loves me. And like I said, I didn't know, And so I accepted Jesus, even though I said all those things. And I went to church. I learned about the Bible. That's where everything started for me becoming close with God.
To draw some comparison, I was exposed to religion growing up, would go there, didn't understand it, didn't really see the joy though, like you mentioned in the one time when you saw those people worshiping. So, and then you still had rage, you still had hurt, pain, you still were acting out in negative ways, even being exposed to the religion. But it was when you met Christ that things started to change. I guess let that go where you think it should go, and explain to people like the difference between the religion you were born into versus the relationship you were exposed to.
I had a lot of anger stored in me for a long time, and this anger wasn't just towards my mom, but it was also towards the guy she had this kid with, my brother, right? And he was abusive, manipulator, and he made our life be hell, right? And so I hated this man to the core of me. And when I heard about Jesus and the love that he has people to forgive people, I didn't like that, like, because I felt like I had this power when I was angry and hated this man, and I didn't want to let that go because it felt good, and like somebody should need to take the blame, and he is the one that needs to take a blame for it. And so this Jesus loving you and forgiving your enemy, even though I was a young age, I understood that. Like I had this hate for this man to the point where I would have been happy to see him die, because everything that he went through, he made us go through.
I think the word here that the world abuses and doesn't really understand, the word is love. Your love, your exposure to love was your life. Happened with your mom, and what you realize when you meet Christ is his love's perfect. Human love is unperfect. And when you try to get the love that he has and you're trying to find it from people, this is when all these problems happen. He reminded me of the story of Jonah, right? He's being sent to go witness and preach to this nation that's been persecuting his people, and he doesn't want to go. He wants God to destroy them, knowing like, how can you forgive? How we're called to forgive. It's supernatural is what it is. It doesn't happen unless you understand the supernatural amount of forgiveness you've been given. Here we are the day after Easter, and Christ rose. He went to the cross, paid for our sins, and we could talk about these things all the time, and that's why honestly, 95% of what I'm hearing right now is completely new to me, and I'm shocked. It's amazing to see, to know this person I'm looking at for about a year now, who exudes joy, is and has all these things. I mean, there's people walking around that don't have 100th of the things to gripe about, that are miserable. Why? Because they don't have the Lord. They don't have peace. And to see what that relationship can overcome, to me, that's a testimony. You're a walking testimony. Where your life is glorifying God. I guess at this point, could talk about your life now here in the States, your ministry, what you were called to do.
Before I talk about that, let me bring you to America. So I went to the orphanage. I lived this city I was in was Nazareth, and I lived there for about 2 years. Then I was moved to Addis Ababa, which is the capital city of Ethiopia, and it was the same orphanage, the sister of it. And from there, living there, hanging out, always being provided for. I had food there, and so I was good. I was healthy. Played soccer. In the orphanages, what would happen is that they would bring white people from America when they would come and visit their kids. They would take them to different orphanages, and that's how I met my parents. I remember my mom coming and asking me for my name, and I told her my name, and she walked away. That's all I remember. And then my dad, he was giving balls to kids, soccer balls, and he gave me this plastic ball. When you bounce, it was red. When you bounce it, it lit up, and it bounced really, really high, and I loved it. And so and they left. The next day, I always wake up early. And so as a kid, I did the same thing. So I was up walking around the orphanage, no one is there. And I see these two white people in the building behind my orphanage, and they're taking pictures. And so I see them, so I started jumping, waving my arms, and they see me, and they started taking pictures. Well, fast forward a couple months later, I was at school, came to the orphanage, and the nanny goes, "Hey, go get lotioned up, get clothes on, wash your face. There's people here to meet you." I'm like, okay, cool. So I get ready and I go. There's these new white people that are there in the orphanage, and they give me a care package. And it's got candies, it's got shirt, it's got toys, and there's a photo album. And as I'm looking through the photo album, I'm like, I know these people. Like, they look so familiar. And as I'm going through the whole album, at the last picture, there's a picture of me waving in the orphanage from the top. And I knew it was them. And me and my friends, we remember, like, this is them, this is who they are. Because we loved them, because we remember them. They gave us so many balls and candies that we knew who they were. We remember their faces. And so a couple months later, they came. And then I found out that actually that I have a brother that they are adopting from a different orphanage, right? His name was Caleb. And so when they first met me, they were there for him for court. And that's how I met them, because they were visiting another orphanages. And so I found out I had a brother, and I was moved to that orphanage. And so they came second time for him, first time for me. So I met them, and they went with him. They came back and got me. And so I was 11. So May 4th is when I came to America. And my life completely changed after that. Went to school, learned English from scratch. I was in 5th grade. I grew up, and I was a good student, good athlete, played soccer. But God has always been on my mind. He's always been there. And as I got to 9th grade and high school, I started acting out, playing, hanging out with friends, drinking a lot. And that's when the enemy really came in and attacked me in a way that it made me think of the past, my abuse, how angry I was at the man my mom got with, how angry I was with my mom, how angry I was at God. All of it just broke down. And I was drinking a lot, heavy partying. And I know my parents always prayed, like the Lord for always to show himself to me. And my best friend his name is Kyle from soccer, took me to his church. And I remember sitting there, it was in July. The Lord is like, are you done? Are you done running away from me? Like, I want to give you a new life. I want to show you what freedom is like. Can you surrender? Like, I'm here. And so I surrendered my life I'm like, okay, Lord, I want to give my life to you. I knew how heavy it was. I knew how much I needed the Lord, how much I needed to feel free from this anger and addiction. And so got baptized, and I started becoming a leader a year later to that same church, to 6th graders. This was the time that I knew that I wanted to be a pastor. But I wanted to be a pastor since I was 10 years old, in orphanage. Like, that is what I wanted to do. There was something like, I want to be a pastor. And when I came to America, I want to be a pastor and be a soccer player. But I knew I only had to do one. But the way that it was confirmed to me that I'm supposed to be a pastor, was this 6th grader I was leading. He came, and he was one of those kids that was in the small groups, always noisy, wanted to be a classic clown, right? And there was this Wednesday night, we were worshiping at camp, and he came to me, he's like, Sami, my dad, he just left. Like, I got a call, he packed up his things, he left, and I will never see him again. And so I was like, oh man, I'm so sorry, but let's just worship right now. And the Lord is like, no, talk to him. I need you to tell him the things that you went through with the man that wasn't your mom, that was with your mom, that was supposed to be a father figure to you. I'm like, Lord, I'm not ready to give that to you yet. I'm still hurt by that. I don't want to let that go. He's like, I need you to tell him. And I was like, okay, I have to obey the Lord. And so I pulled the kid aside, and I told him everything. Hey man, like, I used to get tossed around the house. I used to get beat mentally, physically. And I want to tell you that God is so good. He is the best father. I don't know what your relationship with your father is like, and I know he left, but I need you to know that the Lord will never leave you. And he is the kind of father that he is amazing, right? He is so good to you, to us. And I told him how even though I have this anger that all these things happen to me, I always look to the Father, and he has immeasurable love, right? And I told this kid that what the Lord has been doing to me, and how he's still changing me, how he's still letting me take the weight off and just give it to him, and he's healing the scars. And this kid started crying, and he's like, Sami, I think I'm ready to accept Jesus. And so I said, okay, let's pray. We prayed, went back in worship place, and we started worshiping. And I had an experience that I don't talk to people about. And as we were worshiping, I had a vision. Mind you, I'm in a room of 100 kids. It's hot. Me and this kid walked in. music is playing. I put my hands up in front of me and I bow my head. And next thing I know is I looked up. I'm in this bright place, vivid. The sun it's not the sun. It's a big light and it doesn't hurt. And the grass was the most beautiful grass I've ever seen. It was so green that we don't have that color here. And this man walks and I can't see his face, and he has a white robe and he said, "Well done." And I got back to it and I was like, "What just happened?" And I'm like, "Did I just am I dreaming this? Like, what is going on?" And the Holy Spirit within me says, "That was me." And as he said this, there's no air in the room. And I feel, when somebody walks in front of you, you feel that air. I feel that air in front of me as he's going back and forth. And I get goosebumps on one side as he's walking to my left side. And I get goosebumps on my right side. And I just feel him walking Jesus in front of me. And, when I was having this vision, he didn't speak in a way that he didn't open his mouth. I knew who this man was. And I knew that this place I'm in is a place that I have never seen before, and it's the most beautiful, and the light doesn't hurt, but it just absorbs everything. Like, everything's like, it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Like, when I close my eyes, I see it. And I said, you know what? I'm supposed to be a pastor, and I'm supposed to be leading teenagers, using my experience in my life. Where I had been, I was literally forgotten. Nobody could know who I was. And the Lord brought me from all that. And I'm in high school leading kids, obeying the Lord, giving my life to him. And I see how the Lord changed people's lives using me. So I was like, this is what I want to do.
Wow. There is so much there. And it's all very biblical. Like, this is the way the Lord moves, the way he prepares. A lot of people ask, why do so many bad things happen in the world? Well, this wasn't God's intention, his heart, right? The world's broken and sinful. But I can tell you, it does make sense of, like, you see people that go through terrible situations, but yet I can't speak to someone in that situation the way you could, because you went through it. But how God prepares his people, his prophets. In the Bible, many of the prophets, they go through what seemingly would be just horrendous situations for no purpose, but then God is saying, hey, I'm preparing you so you could speak to these people. The word is freedom. You were talking about freedom. And the world doesn't understand freedom because we want to be slaves to Christ. Yeah. You want to be his slave. Mm-hmm. It's love. And what people don't understand is when they don't have that relationship, they're a slave to something. Everyone's a slave to something. For a time, for a season, you were a slave to the alcohol. Because why? Because that was a way for you to medicate yourself, distract yourself. But you knew it wasn't fruitful. It was temporary peace. Yeah. And our Lord offers us a lasting peace. That's what I want people to know. Everyone's seeking peace, but everything else other than him is temporal. That story was awesome. To certain minds, that would be like, that story didn't happen. I know it happened. I know you wouldn't lie about that because I know you love the Lord, and it's extremely biblical the way it happened. He didn't speak. You just knew. A knowing, a union. It's so beautiful, man. And what an amazing testimony. And I'm so grateful now in the ministry that you're in. My children get the benefit of getting to know you. So tell me, how did you become a pastor?
My best friend, again, Kyle, called me and he's like, there's a coach from Chicago and a school called Moody, and he wants me to come and play there. And I told him about you. Do you want to go? And I'm a senior in high school. I'm like, let me check it out. And we're like, we can play soccer together. I want to play soccer, and I can study to become a pastor. I'm like, this is perfect because I checked out schools, and all the schools that I checked, they don't teach biblical stuff, and which what I'm interested in. I was like, this is it. And so that same day he called me was the last day to submit your application, and so I submitted my applications, and I got accepted. And that's where I took the class to youth ministry, and the Lord has used that degree now in helping me teach the kids and teach the kids from the biblical stance. Everything that I teach has to come from the Bible, and how the Bible, what it's talking about, like at its context, at the Bible itself. And then we go into, okay, how does this apply to our lives right now, and how can we live this out? And that is where the place that I come from to teach. And then I also bring in, okay, this is my life and how the Lord has done this. Like, my experience is this and this. And I come from a place where I teach them the realest things about me, like raw. Keep it honest, but show God through all of it, because my story is not my story, it's God's story. Every breath I breathe is his, and everything that I do I try to point to God, so the kids will see the Lord through me, and but also they can see the Lord for himself, for who he is. I tell them as I teach them things, I'm like, don't just believe me, like I know I've done the homework for you and I try my best, but go and study the Bible yourself so that you can see what the Lord is saying to you, right? But man, I love my job. I love everything about it. I like to mess around with the kids. I like to have fun, but I like to learn about God, and that's what holds me together.
The world is hostile towards people that preach the gospel. They want to share Jesus. They don't understand it. Like, why can't you just? That's your thing. Let me do my thing. But it's different because it's not a thing. It's not just this like idea. It's real. Mm-hmm. And if it's real, I mean, you're busting. You want to tell everyone about it. And that's your life. You're like, I know what he did for me, and I want everyone to have this. So for those out there listening, like, that's the difference. That's why people don't understand. Why do people go all over the world to talk to people about this person? What do they get out of it? Well, they get nothing out of it other than it's love. We want to share this love with everyone.
I would say the Lord is good. We don't deserve anything that we have and everything we get. When I think about my life, I think about how low I was, how I was at the bottom of the barrel, where the next thing that was for me was death. And the Lord rescued me from that. Look at my life. People say I'm lucky, but I say no, I am blessed, and God sees me. He brought me out of there. You have no idea how the Lord has protected me from lions, from bullets, from freak accidents, from knives to my head. Like, the Lord has protected me. He's always been a provider. So the Lord is always good, and he's always with you, even through the messiest situations in life. He's always there.
I've asked Sami to do this, I don't know, a couple months ago, and he was very timid about doing it. I think it was humility coming out. He didn't want it to be about himself, but I think he made it clear this is about what the Lord did. I'm glad he trusted me to do this with him, and I trust that you guys will all be blessed by hearing his awesome, amazing story and what God did with his life. Thanks for joining us.
Sing it!
Thanks for joining us for another episode. I hope I got you thinking and out of your comfort zone. Believe me, the biggest fear your government has is a population that is thinking and talking to one another. So get out there, take a risk, start a conversation, make a friend, and reason with each other. Share the show with someone who you think needs to hear it. I wish you peace and love.